Welcome to Momo Tales. Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom blanketed by a cold, silent winter, the snow fell gently like feathers from the sky. Inside the grand castle, a queen sat by her tall frosted window, sewing quietly. The world outside was pure white, untouched and still. As she pulled the needle through the fabric, she accidentally pricked her finger. A single drop of bright red blood landed on the snow resting on the windowsill. She paused, her eyes fixed on the striking contrast red on white. In that soft whisper that only the cold winter could hear, she said, "If only I could have a child." A child with skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as this ebony wood. Time passed, and as if the winter itself had granted her wish, she gave birth to a baby girl. The child was everything she had imagined: skin as white as fresh snow, lips as crimson as the blood on that day, and hair darker than the night sky. They named her Snow White. The castle rejoiced, but happiness, like winter sunlight, was brief. The queen's health faded, and soon after, she passed away, leaving the king and his newborn daughter behind. A year later, the king remarried. His new queen was breathtakingly beautiful, but beneath her flawless appearance lived a heart cold and sharp as ice. She valued only one thing above all: beauty. Hidden in her chamber was a magical mirror, framed in gold. Each morning she stood before it and spoke with pride, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" And every day the mirror replied, "You, my queen, are the fairest of them all." Those words were her comfort, until Snow White began to grow. At just 7 years old, the child's beauty shone with a purity the queen could never possess. One morning, with a proud smile, the queen stood before her mirror once again. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?" But this time, the mirror answered differently. "You are fair, O queen, it's true, but Snow White is fairer than you." The queen froze. The words struck her heart like ice. Jealousy, dark and poisonous, began to bloom inside her. From that moment on, every glance at Snow White felt like a wound. The girl's innocence, her gentle smile, her kindness, everything about her enraged the queen. Consumed by envy, she summoned a huntsman. Her voice was cold. "Take Snow White into the forest. Kill her, and bring me her heart." As proof, the huntsman led Snow White deep into the dark forest. As they walked, the world grew quiet. The trees towered like shadows. When he raised his knife, Snow White's eyes filled with tears. Her voice trembled like a frightened bird. "Please, dear huntsman, don't hurt me. Let me go, and I promise I will never come back." Something in her innocence broke through his orders. Guilt washed over him. He lowered his knife and whispered urgently, "Run, run and never return." To trick the queen, he killed a wild boar and brought its heart to the castle. The queen, believing Snow White dead, had it cooked and ate it without a second thought. Far from the castle, Snow White ran until her legs could no longer carry her. The forest around her groaned with the wind, branches twisting like claws. Every crackle of leaves made her heart race. "What will I do? Where am I?" she cried, her voice lost in the woods. Hours passed. Just as the last golden light of sunset touched the treetops, she saw it, a small cottage hidden in a clearing. She pushed open the door, stepping into a tiny home. Everything inside was small. 7 plates, 7 cups, 7 beds. Hungry and exhausted, She tasted a little bread from each plate and drank a sip from each cup. Then, one by one, she tried the tiny beds until she found one that felt just right. Within moments, she fell fast asleep. Night fell. From the mountains came the sound of footsteps, steady, short steps. 7 dwarfs, returning from their long day of mining, entered their home and froze. Someone has been in our house. Who sat in my chair? Who drank from my cup? They moved cautiously until one of them spotted the sleeping girl. Silence. Then she's beautiful. They didn't wake her. Instead, they watched her gently breathe as if afraid she might disappear. Morning came. Snow White awoke, startled to see 7 little faces peering at her. But their eyes were kind. They asked her gently who she was, and she told them everything: the wicked queen, the huntsman, the forest. The dwarfs looked at one another, then nodded. Stay with us, they said. Keep our home tidy, cook, wash, sew. In return, we will protect you. Grateful, Snow White agreed. For a time, she lived in peace. Each morning before leaving for the mines, the dwarfs warned her, do not open the door to anyone. Your stepmother will learn the truth. Back in the castle, the queen stood before her mirror once more. Mirror, mirror on the wall. The mirror spoke calmly, almost sadly. You are fair, O queen, it's true. But Snow White, beyond the hills, with the 7 dwarfs, is fairer still. The queen's rage was fierce. Then I will finish this myself. She disguised herself as an old peddler woman and made her way to the dwarf's cottage. Lovely laces for sale, she croaked. Snow White peeked through the window. The woman seemed harmless. She opened the door. The queen smiled. Let me fix this pretty lace around your waist. Her fingers tightened the lace too tight. Snow White gasped for breath and collapsed. By evening, when the dwarfs returned, they found her lifeless. Quickly, they cut the lace, and she gasped back to life. That was your stepmother. Do not open the door again. But jealousy does not rest. The next day, the queen returned in another disguise, this time with a poisoned comb. Pretty combs for a pretty girl. Here, just lean forward. The moment the comb touched Snow White's hair, she fell again. Once more, the dwarfs saved her, pulling the comb from her hair. Snow White, promise us. But the queen had one last plan. A poisoned apple, red on one side, pure white on the other. A deadly fruit. Dressed as a humble farmer woman, she approached. I cannot let anyone in, Snow White said through the window. Then don't. I'll cut it. You eat the red half. I'll eat the white. See? Safe. Tempted by its beauty, Snow White took one bite. She fell at once. This time, nothing brought her back. The dwarfs wept. For 3 days, they stayed at her side. Unable to bury her beauty in the earth, they built a glass coffin and placed it high on the mountain. Always guarded, always watched. Seasons passed. One day, a prince riding through the forest saw the glass coffin. He paused, breath stolen by the sight of her. Please, he said to the dwarfs, let me take her. I will honor her forever. Moved by his sincerity, they agreed. As his servants lifted the coffin, they stumbled. The movement jolted Snow White, and the piece of poisoned apple slipped from her lips. She breathed, her eyes opened. The prince stepped forward, voice trembling. You are safe now. Come with me. Be my queen. Snow White smiled, soft, radiant. She agreed. News spread. A grand wedding was prepared. The wicked queen, still believing Snow White dead, was invited. Before she left, she asked her mirror once more, "Mirror, mirror on the wall." The mirror replied, "You, my queen, are fair, it's true, but the new queen is fairer than you," her heart filled with dread. At the feast, she arrived only to see Snow White, alive, radiant, crowned in grace. The queen's fate was sealed. Her punishment was prepared. Red-hot iron shoes were brought before her. She was forced to dance until she could dance no more. And so, Snow White and her prince ruled with kindness. She never forgot the 7 dwarfs and welcomed them always as honored guests. Family forever. And they all lived happily ever after. Subscribe to Momo Tales for more adventurous stories. Bye guys!